Okay, Fiberista. Sorry about that. I'm having some technical difficulties. Oh, let me turn this down. So, if you can't hear me, then I guess type in the chat. And I've got this new setup too because I am not able to. All right. I've got this new setup because my iPad's in the shop. So, anyway, hey everybody. Welcome. I'm glad to be back. And I've got my water close by because I also have a little bit of a cough. Anyway, so hopefully I'm still getting over the crud. All right, so today I am talking about art yarn warps. And art yarn warps. Let me first start by saying that I started art weaving because I had a lot of handspun yarn. And I was looking for a way to use it. So I grabbed so I started I knit. I used to knit with it. I didn't think crochet was a really good use of art yarn, but I started weaving. And I'm going to show you my first. Did I bring it? Oh, I think I brought it over here. My first. Yes. This is the first piece I made. And you can see I wanted to show off my handspun, and so I draped it off the edge like this. And that's all great, but you can tell, even like here, you can see here's some chunky handspun here, and I was finding that in woven fabrics, some stuff that's like super chunky like this does not necessarily translate to a really good doesn't translate to a really good art yarn warp. So anyway, I said about it doesn't translate to it that texture kind of gets lost. You can see it, but not really well. So I kept working with it a little bit, and but I tell you what really got me working with art yarn warps was when I took Deborah Lambert's class and learned how to and she showed how to use art yarn as a warp. And part of the reason was because I had the loom I got came with this big heddle. Now this is a 2.5 DPI. So you can see the holes and the slots are really big, and it's great for big chunky yarn. But not all rigid heddle looms has this type of thing available for it. So but this is great. This is really great. I have made, let me show you some of the yarns that I have made. I've done, here's one piece that I made, and this was one I did at the beach, so I hung some shells off of it. But I used my hand spun, and then it's really wonderful because I left some open spaces to where it really shows off that warp. Last year's Vlogmas. Hey, Karen from Idaho. Hello. All right. So then I also did, here's one that I did. If you did watch my Vlogmas, I think it was 2017. And I made this during that December. So there's a couple of videos where I actually show making this piece. And you can see I used several chunky hand spuns and some ribbon. Anyway, so art yarn warps is really, really a cool thing to do with chunky yarn. Now it's really good for like super thick yarns like this and this. And this is the type of stuff I love making. I love carding big chunky fibers and making these textural yarns. I love it. Yay. Hey, Sandy from Kansas. All right. So, and then I think this was one. This is one I made, with doing that auto wrap method. I know that I have a video on YouTube that shows that. And I like making these yarns, and granted, I've been spinning a little finer, and I've been spinning with the weft in mind because I find that I like using a thinner yarn for the weft, but I still like to have some of these locks. I'm just, spinning a little finer and then having a little bit of that texture. Here's another one I've been working on. This is, let's see if I can find the end. Oh yeah. So you see, this is just uncarded fiber, but still, you know, for the most part, it's a lot thinner. But like I said, I mean, when it comes to like big textural bats, I mean, this is my go-to technique, is the big thick stuff, and that's, you know, but like I said, this kind of gets lost in the weaving. So I've been working with using some art yarn warps, and I think that is just, I mean, that's just one of the best ways to really show off, you know, big chunky hand spun yarn. I mean, look at it. I mean, the way that I'm weaving, it's really kind of, you can really see the weft is the hero here. I'm going to show you this. Now this weaving, I did have some hand spun, some thicker hand spun, but you see, you know, some of that texture really gets lost in the actual weave. I mean, it's just not the same thing. So anyway, so that's kind of the difference between using it art yarn, warp, and weft. All right, so here's what's going on. My next Art Weaving Beyond the Basics class is going to be about using art yarn warps, and that actually, registration for that opened this morning, and there's a link in the description, I believe, and if not, I'll have to put that in there. Otherwise, it's on the show notes page for sure, and it's called Weaving with Art Yarn Warps. You gorgeous princess of yarns. Hi from Turkey. Thank you. All right, I binge watched all your videos twice now. You inspire me so much. I've ordered my first loom and texture loom, but I'm waiting for saving for a real. Oh, that's wonderful. Congrats on your new. You know, there's a lot you can do with the tapestry loom. It's really awesome. So we'll talk about that more. That's an upcoming class, actually. So all right. So back to this class. All right, so Art Yarn Warps, that's the new class that's coming up. And what I'm going to be talking about in that class, and it goes live on April 24th. The lessons will go live, but you can pre-register and get ready. And if you pre-register for the next 2 weeks, I have a sale going on. And if you use the promo code PRESALE, PRESALE, you get 20% off of that price. So, but if you're in the Beyond the Basics, the original class, you, like I mentioned, you get access to the series for free as part of that purchase that you made, you know, in the last 5 years when you bought that class. Anyway, so I'm, so that class is coming up, and the link's below, and use the pre-sale discount. So here's what you're going to learn in that class. In that class, I am going to take this yarn. Look at this yarn. I love this yarn. I've been hoarding this yarn for a couple of years now. And this is a big old chunky 2-ply that if I did anything else with it other than using an yarn warp, you're not going to see every luscious inch of this yarn. So I am going to, for this class, I'm taking this yarn and I'm going to select other art yarns to go with it for that warp. And I know a lot of people have asked me questions before. Hey, Barbara from Denver, and Sandy, hi, and Teresa, hi you guys. Okay, so I am going to take this yarn and I'm going to select other yarns to go with it for an art yarn warp, and I'm going to teach a little bit of color theory in this class. Well, color and texture theory. So what I'm doing is I'm using this as my hero yarn for that project, and then I'm going to show you how I go about selecting yarns to go with it for the art yarn warp. I'm also going to talk about the loom. I'm going to talk about this loom and you know, warping with a heddle that's specific to art yarn, but you know, not everybody has a loom that has this kind of heddle. This is an Ashford, and Ashford's a good loom, but you know, there are other great looms out there, and there are ways that you can use art yarns as warp if you don't have this kind of heddle, and I'm going to talk about how you can trick your loom out to do that. And we're also going to talk about different weft weaving techniques that's going to work best with that art yarn. We're going to talk about drape. We're going to talk about different techniques that'll show that art yarn off the best, because when you're going to the trouble to make, that fat warp, I mean, you don't want to necessarily cover it up with the weft. You want the weft to really accent, what you got going on there. All right. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about some off-the-chain ideas for weaving, some advanced techniques that's going to work with the art yarn, so give it some extra texture. All right, so again, that class, I released that this morning, and it's in that same course craft thing. There's links in the description here, I think. If not, it's definitely in the show notes. And I'm also going to put some links in the Facebook page and Instagram and stuff like that. So that the pre-sale is live. If you use the code PRESALE, PRESALE, when you check out, they'll ask for a coupon code. That's your coupon code. You get 20% off that price. But again, if you are an original Beyond the Basics student, this is part of your free access. And just like we did with the Dreads class, I'm going to put in the lessons on how you can get that free access if you're already in that class. So that's what we have going on. And I'm also, I'm also going to share with you a picture of there was one other wonderful art yarn warp scarf that I made that's a little different, but it's old. So, but I have pictures, but I'll post I think I have that on my website, so I'll post a link to that on the website, and you guys can check out some of the details on that, because that is off the chain. There's lots of texture in that one. All right, so that's it about art yarn warps. I mean, they're really wonderful, and like I said, I mean, if a lot of people, they have some big thick hand spun like I have here, and this for years was the stash that I would just take out and pet a little bit, because I couldn't decide what to do with it that would show it off best, but this is going to show it off best. So I'm going to teach you how to use that and get some other yarns in that warp that'll show it off. All right. Anybody have any questions? I know I've often gotten questions about art yarn warps. But anybody have any questions that's watching now? So I'm going to get a drink of water because I'm about to have a coughing fit. I came back from New Orleans with just the worst chest cold. It was terrible. Anyway, let's see if there's any questions here. Binge watch all your videos. Gorgeous Princess of Yarn. Watching from there. I don't see any other questions. Yeah, it's a quick one today. I mean, there's a lot to say about art yarn warps, but I'm going to say it in that class because I can show you some really awesome techniques. You're going to love it. It's a kind of a quick way to do a scarf too, or a wrap. I'm also going to talk about, because I guess I mostly use my little loom, but I'm also going to talk about using a wider loom, because sometimes you have to kind of, there's some considerations the wider the width is when you're using that kind of yarn. And also, I'm going to show you some tricks that I use on my floor loom. I'm working with art yarn warps. I don't know how many of you guys have floor looms, but just in case. So, there you have it. Any other questions? It's a quick one today, like I said. Anybody working on anything fun? All right, and something else that I'm going to be doing a live cast on Facebook on Sundays. I've got an upcoming, I'm talking with another fiberista, and she and I have been trying to do some plans to do a project together. So I think we're going to do a spin along. Not this Sunday, but next. So stay tuned. I'll give you more information about that as we get the details down for that. I love the dress the thicker yarns with waff. I tried, and they get frayed and break. Yeah, I know. It's really hard. Yeah, because, surprisingly, Barbara, some of these Some of the art yarns, you know, as thick and tough as they seem, a lot of times it's pretty fragile. And I do have some tricks that'll kind of help it. Because, yeah, especially, too, some of those, as you're working, you know, especially if you've got one of these heddles, sometimes, you know, it's a problem. And tension's a problem. So we're going to address all of that in that class. It's tricky, but it's really satisfying once you get it down. So, anyway, yay! Is there any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions. All right, so I'm going to sign off in a little bit. If you have any questions, then by all means, either hit me up in the Fiber Art Collective, and if you're not in the collective, I'm putting that link below, or hit me up in the comments. I definitely get notices when the comments come through, and usually answer them within 24 hours when I can. Hi from Tennessee Channel Islands. I've been binge watching. Oh, hey Bex, thank you for binge watching. I'm glad I have info to binge watch. Anyway, and so yeah, if you have any other questions about the class or signing up, and again, if you're already in the Beyond the Basics, the original class that we closed enrollment on March 1st. If you're already in that class, you're going to get free access, so don't sign up. I've been having to issue refunds as I catch them, but I don't always catch them. So, you know, if you've already paid for the Beyond the Basics, then you don't have to pay again. But if you're just buying the classes individually, then, like I said, it's open for registration as of today. Be sure to use the coupon code PRESALE, PRESALE. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that other art yarn scarf that I have pictures of that I no longer have because I sold it. And otherwise, there you have it. I'll see you in class. That class, the lessons will drop on April 24th. That's 2 weeks from today. And there you have it. So I'm really excited to share this with you. Art yarn scarves are like really cool, very textural. All right, so I am signing off. I will talk to you guys next week. Again, if you have any questions, just either send me an email, hit me up in the comments, hit me up in the Fiber Art Collective. If you're not in the Fiber Art Collective, then by all means sign up for that, and I will catch you guys next week.